iconic case of ufology and part of mainstream culture. In the summer of 1947, something strange fell on a ranch land some 80 miles northwest of Roswell. The ranch belonged to a rancher, William Brazel. While driving through his ranch land that day, Brazel and his son, Vernon, encountered something they had never seen before. In Brazel's words,
"A large area of bright wreckage made up of rubber strips, tin foil, and rather tough paper and sticks."
Brazel explained he saw the shredded and scattered metallic-looking lightweight fabric across the sagebrush and gravel of the ranch land. Confused, Brazel has no clue what to do about the newfound item or how it landed on his property. So, he collected all of the mysterious wreckage he could find. But he soon got the answer to his discovery. The answer came weeks before Brazel found the wreckage from a private pilot, Kenneth Arnold, who saw something extraordinary while flying past Mount Rainier. Arnold would later spend the rest of his life explaining what he saw on June 24, 1947. That June afternoon, Arnold was on his way to an air show in Pendleton, Oregon. He took off from Chehalis, Washington, and planned to stop for fuel at Yakima, Washington. As an experienced pilot, Arnold has logged 4,000 hours of flying time. He was also a member of an Idaho search and rescue unit. The winds were light, and skies were clear that fateful afternoon, piloting a single-engine Call-Air A-2 light airplane. Arnold was even thinking of making a detour to find the crashed U.S. Marine Corps Curtiss C-46 Commando, transporting 32 U.S. Marines, and claiming a $5,000 reward. Before 3 in the afternoon, a bright flashlight to the northeast hit his face as the pilot circled his airplane about 20 miles west of Mount Rainier, looking for the C-46. As Kenneth put it,
"It startled me. I just assumed it was some military lieutenant out with a shiny P-51, and I had caught the reflection of the sun hitting the wings of his plane."
Then, he ruled out a nearby Douglas DC-4 airliner as the source after seeing more flashes. Arnold claimed they emanated from 9 shiny objects flying in an echelon appearance about 5 miles long. He described each object as about 100 feet across, circular, and with no intelligible tail. These objects periodically weaved, banked, and flipped side by side like the tail of a Chinese kite. While the formation crossed before Kenneth, he decided to time its passage from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams. From his calculation, these objects were flying at around 1,200 miles per hour, twice as fast as any airplane of that period. Months would pass before Colonel Chuck Yeager exceeded the speed of sound after flying the Bell X-1 rocket airplane to 700 miles per hour. The day after his sighting, Arnold told reporters Nolan Skiff and Bill Bequette of the East Oregonian newspaper. While publishing the story that same day, Bill Skiff used the words "sauce-like aircraft" when he published a short print article. Then, Bill suggested to Arnold that a wire story could generate comments from the military on flight experimental aircraft, which could explain Arnold's sighting. He published a brief story picked up by the Associated Press wire service. Bequette used the words 9 bright saucer-like objects to describe what Arnold explained that he saw. Then, Kenneth Arnold became a media sensation. However, he didn't welcome the attention. Every press was after the story, from the Associated Press to the United Press and newspapers worldwide. Even the Chicago Sun ran the headline, "Supersonic Flying Saucer Sighted by Idaho Pilot." And from there, we had the immortal phrase of the flying saucer. These and over 300 claims of UFO sightings instigated speculations among skeptics and believers that an unidentified UFO, or flying object, had crashed on that ranch located northwest of Roswell, New Mexico. The incident remained highly debated on whether it was a mundane or extraordinary crash. That was when William Brazel got the answer to the wreckage on his ranch land. What he saw on his ranch was certainly something that had to do with these flying saucers. Seeing that the country became gripped by the event, and a talk of a reward for anyone who recovered one of these unidentified flying objects, Brazel hand-delivered a box of accumulated debris to the Roswell sheriff, hoping to cash in on the reward. The Roswell sheriff contacted the nearby military base, the Roswell Army Airfield, RAF's commanding officer, regarding Brazel's findings. The military base was home to the elite 509th Bombardment Group, which deployed atomic bombs at the end of World War II. Immediately, the RAF dispatched its agents to the site to gather the remaining material. What happened afterward was a turn of events where the whole country would begin to see the whole incident as a cover-up or a misunderstanding. The next day, the military issued a press release through the base public affairs officer, First Lieutenant Walter Haut, stating they had a flying saucer in their possession. Soon after, the Roswell Daily Record newspaper ran the headline on its front page: Roswell Army Airfield captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. It further stated that the intelligence office of the 509th Bombardment Group at Roswell Army Airfield announced at noon today that the field has come into possession of a flying saucer recovered on a ranch in the Roswell vicinity by Major Jesse A. Marcel. However, the Army strangely changed their story 24 hours later, issuing a subsequent press release that the debris was pieces of a weather balloon. The report in the Roswell Daily Record claimed that mysterious object was a harmless, high-altitude weather balloon, not a grounded flying disc. Brigadier General Roger M. Ramey, commander of the 8th Air Force, cleared up the mystery. To support the new claim, General Ramey, Colonel Thomas DuBose, Ramey's chief of staff, and Major Jesse A. Marcel all posed in an office in 1947 with genuine weather balloon debris. The local rancher, William Brazel, was subsequently held incommunicado in military custody for a few weeks. He informed the local newspaper afterward that he was sorry for what he told the Army. Brazel said,
"I was sure what I found was not any weather observation balloon."
With Brazel changing the story to align with the military's weather balloon story, the world forgot about the story, at least for a while, until 1978, when a significant discovery happened. Interestingly, 1978, a few years after the Roswell UFO mystery and amid the 1947 flying disc craze, would dig up more about that incident. Since every story must have a protagonist, Stanton Friedman, a leading UFO researcher and nuclear physicist, embraced the role. When Stanton spoke with a top military official, Major Jesse Marcel, who declared that what was found on the ranch in Roswell in 1947 was not a military balloon, what Jesse saw was something he couldn't describe, or anything he had seen before. He believed it was not anything from this earth. That I'm quite sure of. Marcel explained that.
There was all kinds of stuff. Small beams, with some sort of hieroglyphic on them that nobody could decipher. They were pink and purple. The pieces of metal that we brought back were so thin, just like tinfoil. You can't make a dent on it.
Marcel was an intelligent officer familiar with any material used to design aircraft, and what he saw in 1947 was nothing close to that. For all it was worth, Marcel's explanation exposed the cover story, and the photo was staged with weather balloon debris being substituted for the real wreckage. According to Marcel, everyone involved in the retrieval knew that the object belonged to an extraterrestrial spacecraft. By September 16, 2001, when DuBose had become a retired brigadier general, he signed a sworn affidavit claiming that the weather balloon story was a cover story, the whole balloon part of it. That was the part of the story we were told to give to the public and news, and that was it. This is more than top secret. It's beyond that. Then more people started speaking out. There was another claim by, and I kid you not, James Bond Johnson, the Army photographer who took the pose photographs of Ramey, DuBose, and Marcel. Bond shocked everybody when he earned a PhD and became a psychologist, Methodist minister, and later White House's National Security Council consultant. However, James always remembered Roswell, making him a highly placed, credible, direct source for the truth. James Bond stated,
"I was the photographer of the 1947 Roswell UFO crash wreckage in the office of General Ramey. They simply did not know what they had. The weather balloon cover story. The media bought General Ramey's sudden cover-up story without any question. Only the best body was kept. The other three must have been in very bad shape."
In his own account, the Army counterintelligence agent assisting Marcel, Frank, Jay Kaufman, stated that in another crash that happened in Roswell in the same year, the main part of the aircraft, 25 to 30 feet long, crashed into an arroyo at the base of a cliff. As Kaufman explained, they discovered 5 alien bodies, about 5 feet tall. One was inside the crash, while the rest were outside of the crash. While further describing the events surrounding the Roswell UFO crash, Frank explained that
guards were placed all the way around the spacecraft. You couldn't get near the place. It was maybe 20 by 6 feet, a large crate.
Frank even sketched the downed spacecraft, which did not look like a flying disc. It was more like an exotic airplane than a flying saucer, more like a triangular vessel with rounded corners and 2 small vertical stabilizers. In 2002, after swearing in a sworn affidavit, First Lieutenant Walter Haut explained that Colonel Blanchard took me personally to Building 84, a B-29 hangar under heavy guard. The object was about 12 to 15 feet in length, about 6 feet high. I was able to see a couple of bodies under a canvas tarpaulin. The bodies suggested the size of a 10-year-old child. What I personally observed was some type of craft and its crew from outer space. And there was another account about the debris arriving at the B-29 hangar, this time from Arthur Exon. Brigadier General Arthur E. Exon was a lieutenant colonel in 1947 at Wright Field, Ohio. Later, in 1964, he commanded the entire base. Exon was an eyewitness about the debris arriving by B-29 from Roswell. He was also aware of the special project for testing its properties and was part of the team that flew over the Roswell crash sites. When he was discussing the Roswell incident, Exon explained,
There were bodies. They were found apparently outside the craft itself, but were in fairly good condition. Roswell was the recovery of a craft from space. Everyone from the White House on down knew that what we had found was not of this world within 24 hours of our finding it.
Another counterintelligence agent in Roswell, Master Sergeant Lewis S. Bill Rickett, noted that this one was in trouble. Maybe the guidance system on it happened to fail, not being from Earth. Lewis further explained that.
The Air Force's explanation that it was a balloon was totally untrue. It was not a balloon. It wasn't ours. It might have been some higher civilization checking on us.
In addition, he described the aircraft with a curved front and a wide wing with a bat-like trailing edge. But there's more. This time, from the Assistant Flight Safety Officer, First Lieutenant Robert Shirky, who recalled that the spacecraft debris did not shine or reflect like the aluminum on American military airplanes, with hieroglyphic-like markings on them. Regarding the alien bodies, Robert said that the bodies were laid out in Hangar 84. He added that all those involved were shipped out to different bases within 2 weeks. Vidmark Entertainment released a 17-minute film narrated by Jonathan Frakes titled Alien Autopsy in 1995 to corroborate all these claims. While these experts believed the film was not a hoax, they doubted if it could have been done in 1927, 1947, or 1949. But a U.S. soil conservationist added more to the authenticity of the Roswell crash. In July 1947, Grady L. Barnett of the U.S. Soil Conservation Services led a survey team west of Magdalena, New Mexico, onto the plains of San Augustine, about 200 miles west of Roswell. While there, Grady explained that he discovered a disc-shaped UFO crash wreckage the color of dirty stainless steel, with 4 dead bodies of the alien crew, 4 to 5 feet tall, in one-piece gray suits. Within minutes, the military arrived and swore the team to secrecy, threatening them. Several other sources and archaeologists have corroborated Grady's story. In 1971 and 2009, an Apollo 14 astronaut, Dr. Edgar D. Mitchell, DSC, claimed that, make no mistake, Roswell happened. The evidence points to the fact that Roswell was a real incident, and that indeed an alien craft did crash, and that material was recovered from that crash site. The government knew about it, but decided not to tell the public. A few insiders know the truth and are studying the bodies that have been discovered. The 1997 amazing book by Colonel Philip J. Corso, titled The Day After Roswell, was a controversial insider leak of detailed information about the UFO crash in Roswell. Corso claimed in the book that he inspected a military convoy in July 1947 at Fort Riley, Kansas, bound from Roswell, New Mexico, toward Wright Field, Ohio. When he took a crate inside and opened it, he saw a 4-foot human-shaped figure in a thick, light blue liquid, pale gray skin, tiny nose. The eyes sockets themselves were oversized and almond-shaped. One piece, head to toe. Gray, fabric covering the creature's flesh. Colonel Philip worked at the Foreign Technology Desk of the Research and Development Division at the Pentagon in 1961. He explained that he was in charge of seeding Roswell artifacts to defense contractors for reverse engineering and technology development, which he called the Devil's Plan. Corso later explained in one of his speeches,
"Let there be no doubt. Alien technology harvested from the infamous saucer crash in Roswell led directly to the development of the integrated circuit chip, laser and fiber optic technologies, particle beams, electromagnetic propulsion systems, depleted uranium projectiles, stealth capabilities, and many others. How do I know? I was in charge."
All of these items were created after 1947. He described the Roswell craft as more like the flying wing shape. With all the key eyewitnesses telling radically different stories, it's useful to ask one pertinent question. Did the UFO crash in Roswell in 1947 happen or not? To answer that question, it is necessary to revisit the incident a few weeks before the crash incident in 1947. Kenneth Arnold claimed he saw a strange aircraft formation in the distance while flying over Mount Rainier. But there are multiple possible prosaic explanations for that. First, the sighting happened off the coast. You might expect to find rival nations' advanced reconnaissance craft in these coastal regions. Apart from Arnold's claim, most Navy pilots began spotting the UFOs after upgrading their jets' radar systems. With that, sighting the UFOs might stem from instrument issues or software bugs. Anyone using Microsoft products would understand how certain problems arise when upgrading any technical product. And turning to common sense, it is even ridiculous to jump to the UFO conclusion. If they are alien spacecraft, I would like to ask, what exactly are they doing? Why were they sent here, across the vast gulfs of space and time? And if these aliens are here, my guts, they are the best house guests we can ever have. Why? Because they never do anything except buzzing around. They don't barge on us to address climate change. They don't steal our molybdenum. And regarding the wreckage in that arid desert in Roswell, it would appear odd, but I doubt if it is alien. This is it. Principles in the espionage effort and an Air Force report on a once-secret project would explain that the Air Force whisked away the wreckage as part of an airborne system for atomic age spying, invented by a leading geophysicist, and developed by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, New York University, and Columbia University. They called the program Project Mogul. So, what's the goal of the program? Post-war America was wary of losing its atomic monopoly, so they set up the program as a tool for searching high in the atmosphere for weak reverberations from nuclear test blasts half a world away. The debris William Brazel found in his ranch was a smashed part of Project Mogul's balloons, sensors, and radar reflectors made of thin metal foil, which was the most consequence of the growth of spaceship theories. Dr. Maurice Ewing was the brain behind this spying system. After World War II, he worked at Woods Hole on Cape Cod. Later, Maurice founded the Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory of Columbia University, a premier Earth research center. While at Woods Hole, he researched underwater transmission of sound, which, as scientists discovered, can extend thousands of miles. After the World War, Dr. Ewing proposed a surveillance system to the Air Force. The Air Force seized on the proposition instantly as a potential way to monitor distant nuclear blasts. As the first nation to detonate the world's first atomic bomb in 1945, the US feared that the Soviet Union might soon succeed as well. Thus, Project Mogul was prioritized as a top-secret classification in 1946. The project was based at the Air Force Watson Laboratories in Red Bank, New Jersey, involving several academic institutions and prominent scientists to develop the gear. At first, the project used neoprene meteorological balloons. However, it later pioneered the use of polyethylene balloons, which remain an essential tool of high-altitude research these days. The project focused on New Mexico extensively, flying numerous balloon flights with sensors and radar reflectors to aid tracking. Though Project Mogul was a great scientific success, it was a nightmare operationally. It was ended in 1950. However, the project's debris littered the New Mexico countryside. It was one such debris that fell to Earth in 1947 outside Roswell, and since then, it has sowed the seeds for decades of confusion. Since Project Mogul was a covert operation, it was not surprising that neither intelligent officer Jesse Marcel, nor William Brazel, nor the officials at Roswell Air Base immediately recognized it as a standard weather balloon, because it wasn't. Regarding the hieroglyphic-like characters and small pink and purple on some of the wreckage, these were not an alien language. It was a random side effect of limited engineering materials. It was in the middle of the post-war shortage, and the New York contractors who designed the gear also made toys. The contractors used plastic tape with pink and purple flowers and geometric designs from the ladder line to seal the target seams. Over the years, I have seen the Roswell incident mired in controversy, with skeptics and debunkers offering alternative explanations for the supposed UFO crash. It amazes me to think of why those eyewitnesses decided to wait for so long before coming out and risked public scrutiny or even face threat to retract their word. Could it be for fame? Did they do that to feel relevant? Misinformation and hoaxes have clouded the truth, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction. Scientific analysis has cast doubt on the extraterrestrial hypothesis, suggesting mundane explanations for the mysterious Roswell debris. Despite the passage of time, curiosity about the Roswell incident remains undiminished. Recent developments, including the release of declassified documents and new witness testimonies, have reignited speculation about what really happened in the New Mexico arid desert in 1947. While I see skeptics maintaining that there's nothing to the Roswell story, believers continue to search for the truth, convinced that it lies somewhere beyond our earthly realm. The Roswell incident continues to captivate and confound, its legacy etched into the fabric of American folklore.